heard the row. I felt that row. I knew to keep it pushing. I knew that.
Curtis Jones says he was walking near Rauber Street late Wednesday when he saw people running from what appeared to be a large wild cat.
After I see the people run, I just see something big just walking, just right over here, right by the bush. It went right over here. I swear, I promise you, it went right over there. And it said, "Row," and I just kept walking. I seen me, see it. So in my head, I'm like, nah, I gotta go, man. I'm out. It about like this big. Word. It was just walking, slithering, like it was. I don't know, man.
A shelter in place was ordered and then lifted when RPD was unable to verify the presence of a wild animal. Police say no reports have been substantiated. Jones tells me he remains on edge.
Gotta keep this bat right here, man. I'm gonna keep this bat right here, man, just in case. I'm gonna protect this. I ain't gonna let nothing happen to us, nothing, okay? They ain't find it last night. It's still out here. It could be out here in one of these bushes or something. You know, them mountain lions, they be they be crawling and, you know, they serious. I don't play with lions. I don't play with tigers, bears, nothing with the wild. I don't play with those. I promise you. I don't even do roller coasters. I'm good.
It was a beautiful, sunny, and hot August Sunday morning in 1985, on the 18th to be exact, at around 11:13 a.m., which is the time according to my mother, that your big homie, Brian Brooks, a.k.a. who you know now as Brian B. Shynin, entered into this world at about 48th, 49th and Truce at Menorah Hospital. Shout out to all my Menorah babies who was born at Menorah Hospital in KC. But 40 years old. You know, I think about what I used to think I would look like or be when I was younger at 40 years old. And I didn't think that I would look like this per se, or be where I'm at in life. And that just speaks to the blessings that I've gotten the past 40 years of my life. You know, I've always tried to be God-led, Spirit-led, and just knowing that where I've come from, what I've endured, especially over the last 10 years, because I'm going to talk about what I learned in my 30s, going into my last days in my 30s. But I know that A, I know nothing at all, and that B, you had to let time do its job. See, a lot of times we want to take control of things, and that's when we end up messing things up a lot of times, especially me. And just knowing and seeing how things operate and how things could change instantly just like that. Or things could change over a long period of time. But the key to all of that is just letting time do its thing. You always got to do the right thing, of course. But time heals, time separates, time reveals, and that's the biggest thing. Time always reveals. And specifically what I'm talking about is the truth. It always does. Whatever you do in the dark will always come to light, especially in this day and age. Especially. But at the beginning of this decade, in my 30s, I wasn't on a morning show yet. I was not married yet. I was really still a young man. And the things that I've learned and discovered about myself, about life, about God, about my spirit, about where I'm headed, it has been just life-changing. And yeah, I do deserve my credit for where I've come from and the things that I've endured and the growth that I've had. But it's been so many people that have added to that. so many. Starting off with Shay Moore. She was probably my number one life-changing element in that time period. Despite what the professional landscape is between us right now, that always has, ever since I met her, and always will be my sister. Because the things that she taught me and the things that we went through, they were so life-changing for me. They were new. And when it was new, it made me see other things and realize that, okay, some of these things you got to switch up. Some of these things that you was doing in your 20s, you can't do in your 30s no more. And that's kind of the same attitude I have going into my 40s. You know, some of the things that I did in my 30s, I can no longer do in my 40s. Like a little procrastination, not writing emails, or, you know, just certain things that you got to tighten up as you get older, you know. Money management, being a leader. And that's probably the biggest asset that I got in my past 10 years, was my ability to see and lead, and trying to sharpen that skill every day too. Because being a leader is a thankless job, but something that you realize that you don't need no thanks for. You just need to do it. It just needs to be a part of your everyday life. Picking up trash off the floor when nobody else does. Doing the right things when nobody else does. Sometimes being the first is being the bravest. And I think a leadership has a lot to do with those elements a little bit. Not worrying about what other folks have to say, but just constantly making sure that you're doing the right thing at all times. I know there are different type of leaders, and there are different type of people who go about leadership different ways, but I believe in leading by example. Yeah, you could come in and say what you want and do what you want, but if you're not following what your own words are saying, I have no trust in you. None. And I perceive that's how people would view me. If I didn't do the things that I was going to say, if I didn't follow up on my words with my actions. So I think leadership, man, is one of the hardest things to do. It is. Especially when you could get scrutinized for whatever decision that you're going to make. Whether that's at your job, whether that's with your family, or if you're in sports. It's hard being a leader in this world of evil, in this world of people always taking the easy way out. It's easy to take the easy way out because it's so acceptable nowadays. But that's not what being a leader is all about. So learning that skill set, man, it was essential for my growth these past 10 years in my 30s. And I remember, you know, being apprehensive or being a little scared to turn 30. Because in your young mind, in your 20s, you just, you know, you're not really thinking about your body getting old, or your mind getting old, or perhaps your parents getting old. And that's one thing that'll knock you on your ass too, is, you know, seeing your parents slow down and seeing your parents get older, making you realize that, damn, you're getting older too. They ain't the only ones. Something weird when you get in, and I think this might be part of a reason why people might go through midlife crisis, is because when you enter into this midlife, late 30s, 40s, you begin to see your parents. You begin to see yourself as your parents, because you were cognizant of what your parents were doing at the age that you're at now. That is a really weird thing to deal with a lot of times. because I remember everything my father was doing when he was 40 years old. That was 1995. I remember everything about that year. I remember his mannerisms. I remember what he used to say. I remember what he used to do. I remember everything. And now to see yourself in those same shoes, it gives you a different perspective on life. But more with the more of the superficial things in my 30s, man. I accomplished a lot of things by having the #1 morning show in Kansas City in February 2019. That had never been done in KPRS history. Never been done at Hot 103 Jams. Breakfast Brothers didn't do it. Sean and Julie didn't do it. Steve Harvey didn't do it. The Morning Grind with Shay and Shine did, though. Winning an Emmy. One of my favorite accomplishments I've ever had, because first off, it was led by my brother, Kerry Rounds. And then the other special part was I got to narrate the 100-year anniversary of the Negro Leagues. And with me being from Kansas City and being super Kansas City, knowing the history, knowing what those players went through, right here in this city, it was special to me. It was special. And there was nobody better to narrate that than me. Nobody better, because I love the Negro Leagues. Every time I go, I support all the time, 100%. And so, thank you, Mr. Bob Kendrick. And of course, my brother for having me involved in that. And man, it was such an honor winning that Emmy in 2021. There are several other things that I've done in my 30s, several big events, several concerts, so many meaningful fundraisers that I got to be a part of. I got a chance to help. I got a chance to lead. I got a chance to coach. In my 30s, that was always a lifelong dream of mine when I got done playing football was to coach. But then that turned into what I feel like part of my purpose is, which is to reach back out and try and help our youth in Kansas City. That it was about football, but it wasn't all about football. It was more so about them kids. So through the Kansas City Seminoles organization, I was just super duper blessed to experience that and give back in my own way. 2 proclamations with thanks to both of my morning shows, The Morning Grind with Shay and Shines, October 17th, and Hustle and Shine in the Morning is November 27th. That's Hustle and Shine Day in Kansas City. I got 2 proclamations in my 30s. So enough of, I don't want to go too deep into, the accolades or any of that, but it was more so of a spiritual renaissance with me. And how I really knew that I was a grown-ass man was when my relationship with God blossomed. And I really started to understand what Jesus went through and what was going on in the Bible and how it really applies to everyday life now. And I think with that, with my spirituality and my relationship with God, I know that this skill set and what I've learned through that is going to be the thing to propel me. Not only the next 10 years, as 10 years from now, I'll be headed to my 50th birthday, but for now until eternity. And that's the thing that's going to lead me with my family. Which leads me to my last accomplishment, probably the best thing that happened in my 30s, was me getting married to my wife. Because that was always a dream that I had. I just had to find the right woman. and through God, I did. So I accomplished a lot in my 30s. I did a lot. And I'm just looking forward to doing even bigger and better things under the Spirit of God in my 40s. So happy birthday to me. And happy birthday to everybody else and all my Leos that celebrate, man. Thank you so much for tapping into Brian's World. Please make sure you rate, subscribe, and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube through Foolish Club Media to not only check out Brian's World, but check out all the other podcasts that we have covering our Kansas City Chiefs on the Foolish Club Podcast Media Network. And while you're at YouTube, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Be Shynin. Brian's World drops every single Wednesday at the Be Shynin page on YouTube. All right, next week, we got Chiefs-Seahawks preseason game number 2. Patrick Mahomes, he might get 2 drives in this game. I don't know, because we know that he is not playing against the Bears in the final preseason game. But until then, Kansas City, please be a blessing. And Chiefs Kingdom, mount up!
Shut up.